Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Let's get started with the analysis of today's The Hindu newspaper, beginning with a news item on page number 1 of the Delhi edition of The Hindu. US President Donald Trump is on a visit to India. President Trump, along with Prime Minister Modi, addressed a massive gathering at the Sardar Patel Stadium at Motera in Ahmedabad. This Sardar Patel Stadium is the world's largest cricket stadium in terms of the seating capacity. This stadium can accommodate 110,000 people, which is higher than the seating capacity of Melbourne Cricket Ground in Australia, which can accommodate 95,000 people. Those appearing for state civil services examination, this can be an important question asked. This stadium, Sardar Patel Stadium, has been rebuilt after demolishing the old one. It was at this stadium that Sunil Gavaskar became the first Test cricketer to cross 10,000 Test runs. This event has been named as Namaste Trump, and this is the Indian counterpart of Howdy Modi. If you recall, in September last year, Prime Minister Modi, along with President Trump, addressed a massive Indian American community gathering at Houston. That event was named Howdy Modi. So Namaste Trump is an Indian counterpart of Howdy Modi. The two countries are going to sign defense deals worth 3 billion US dollars. And this is something that we have discussed in our 21st February The Hindu newspaper analysis. There we discussed about multi-role helicopters for the Navy worth $2.2 billion, which basically means that these anti-submarine helicopters will be given to India. Also, there is a talk of 6 Apache attack helicopters for the army. So let's keep an eye on these defense deals so that tomorrow we can have an elaborate discussion on them. But what was interesting is Donald Trump doing a balancing act on Pakistan. One interesting thing is, when President Trump spoke at this event, he also invoked Pakistan and termed the US-Pakistan relationship as a very good one. So why is it that an American president speaking on an Indian soil is talking about Pakistan-US relationship, and that too in a good way? And analysts say it has something to do with the Taliban. In all likelihood, a peace deal is going to be signed between United States and Taliban, which would ensure that United States will fully withdraw from Afghanistan. And who is responsible for this US-Taliban peace talks? Pakistan. And that is why experts say if United States is looking for an honorable exit from Afghanistan, for that Taliban is a very important entity. The peace with Taliban is a very important, crucial requirement. And who is in a position to ensure that Taliban is brought to the negotiating table? Pakistan. And that is why when President Trump spoke about Pakistan-United States relationship, experts say it has very much to do with the Taliban peace talks. So this is something that you can cite in your mains answers. Because on one hand, India-US relationship is also strengthening, but there are some hiccups so far as trade is concerned. And this we have discussed in the past as well. GSP was revoked. We have also seen that India has been categorized as a developed nation by the United States. So on trade front, there are hiccups in US-India relationship. But at the strategic level, we have seen India-US relationship has strengthened. But at the same time, Pakistan-United States relationship has also got strengthened in the recent past. And President Trump has said that today, Pakistan and US relationship is so strong, it has never been this strong in the past decade. In July 2019, when Prime Minister Imran Khan visited United States, just few days before that visit, General Mark Milley, who is the highest ranking officer in the US military, he had said that United States interests are better served if United States maintains a strong military relationship with Pakistan. And in December 2019, United States and Pakistan, they decided to resume their military training program. And this is despite the fact that Pakistan has not taken strong steps to dismantle the terror infrastructure on its soil. And at the same time, United States has not been pushing very hard to blacklist Pakistan at the FATF, Financial Action Task Force. So there are experts who say that if United States is not pushing hard, along with the support Pakistan is getting from China, Turkey, and Malaysia. This has ensured that Pakistan is retained in the grey list of FATF. It has not been blacklisted. So it is very interesting for a US president to speak good about Pakistan while on the Indian soil. And if we go back in time in 2009, when US President Barack Obama was on a visit to India, this was just after the 26/11 deadly attacks in Mumbai. The then US president blasted Pakistan and urged Pakistan to take strong steps to dismantle the terror infrastructure on Pakistani soil. And Barack Obama, in that meeting with Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, assured that we are together with India in its fight against terrorism. Yesterday, when President Trump spoke, he also talked about the threat coming from Islamic fundamentalism. But at the same time, speaking good about Pakistan is something which is unprecedented. Very soon, we will be launching a detailed video lecture on our YouTube channel on Donald Trump's visit to India, and we will explain the key highlights of this visit. So please wait for that video lecture. Now let's look at another newspaper article on page number 6, relevant for your prelims examination. West Bengal governor seeks an update on civic polls from State Election Commissioner. If you look at Article 324 of the Constitution of India, it talks about Election Commission of India. It says superintendence, direction, conduct and control of all elections, whether to Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or to state legislatures. That will be the responsibility of the Election Commission of India. But so far as local elections are concerned, so far as elections to municipalities and Panchayati Raj institutions are concerned, that is the domain of State Election Commission. And State Election Commission is also a constitutional body. But State Election Commission consists of a State Election Commissioner. This State Election Commissioner is appointed by the governor of that state. But this State Election Commissioner cannot be removed by the governor. State Election Commissioner is removed based on the resolution passed by the Parliament. So just the way in which the judge of a high court is removed, in the same manner the State Election Commissioner is also removed. That means on what grounds is the judge of a high court removed from his office? On the grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. That means these are the two grounds on the basis of which a State Election Commissioner is also removed. But how? What is the process? Both houses of the Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they have to pass a resolution by special majority. And then based on this resolution, President of India is empowered to remove the State Election Commissioner from his office. That means this is very important for your prelims examination. State Election Commission is headed by a State Election Commissioner. This individual is appointed by the governor, but this individual can be removed only by the President of India based on the resolution passed by both houses of the Indian Parliament, that too by special majority. So the manner in which the judge of a high court is removed, in the same manner State Election Commissioner is also removed. Now let's look at another newspaper article on page number 8, again relevant for your prelims. Stone Chariot at Hampi. The chariot is actually a shrine dedicated to Garuda, and it is built inside the Vitala temple complex. This stone chariot at Hampi was built by King Krishna Devaraya of the Vijayanagara Empire, and the period is 16th century. Can be important statement for your prelims examination. King Krishna Devaraya, he was fascinated by the Konark Sun temple, and that is why he built this stone chariot at Hampi. This stone chariot at Hampi is internationally recognized as the World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Another important statement, the architecture is inspired by the Dravidian style of architecture, and this chariot is built by the slabs of granite. Why is this important? Because if you look at this chariot, it looks as if it is one solid structure, but in fact it is built by slabs of granite, and the linkages of these granites is hidden. So if you look at the stone chariot at Hampi, it looks as if it is one solid structure, but in fact it is made up of slabs of granite, and the linkages between these slabs of granites, they are carefully hidden. Now, Archaeological Survey of India is planning a barricade around this famed stone chariot at Hampi. So can be an important question for your prelims examination. Now let's look at another news on page number 9 related to PM-KISAN or Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. This is a central sector scheme. When we say it is a central sector scheme, which means it is 100% funded by the government of India. This scheme is effective from 1st December 2018. Under this scheme, what happens? Income support is provided. Income support is provided to farmer families. But which are these farmer families? A farmer family is a family unit consisting of a husband, a wife, minor children who collectively own cultivable land up to 2 hectares. And for such farmer families, income support is provided. How much is this income support? 6,000 rupees per annum. But this amount is paid in 3 equal installments of 2,000 each, and these installments are paid every 4 months. But who will identify these farmer families? State governments or the governments of union territories? This amount is directly transferred to the bank account of the beneficiaries. Initially, the target was that 14 crore families will be identified so that income support is provided to these farmer families. Now, according to this newspaper article, this scheme is going to benefit only 12 crore people. The beneficiary target has come down to 12 crore from 14 crore earlier. Agriculture Minister says that West Bengal is a big culprit. Why? Because West Bengal has refused to join this PM-KISAN scheme. And Bihar is another culprit according to Agriculture Minister. Why? Because instead of state identifying these beneficiaries, they are waiting for the beneficiaries themselves to register. And if the potential is that there should be 158 lakh beneficiary families in Bihar, only 59.7 lakh they have registered on the PM-KISAN portal. And now the central government has urged West Bengal to join this scheme. But there are some farmer families who have been excluded from this PM-KISAN scheme. Which are these farmer families? Where one or more member is holding a constitutional post. If there is a farmer family but one or more members of this family is holding a constitutional post, you are ineligible for this income support. Similarly, if one or more member was or is a member of Legislative Assembly, member of Parliament, whether to Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, or you are a chairperson of a district panchayat, or you are a mayor of a municipal committee, your family is also not eligible for this income support. Similarly, if one or more member was or is a central government employee or a state government employee or a member of public sector enterprise, you are ineligible for this income support. Or if one or more members of your farmer family is a retired individual who is deriving a pension of more than 10,000 rupees per month, you're also ineligible for this income support. And all those farmer families where one or more individual members, they have paid income tax in the last assessment year, even this farmer family is not eligible for this income support. Can be a very important statement for your prelims examination. Now let's look at some of the editorials and columns in today's newspaper. The first one, dual citizenship. Now, Citizenship Amendment Act is the law of the land. It provides citizenship to religious minorities from 3 countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. But the illegal migrants from Sri Lanka or the Tamil refugees, they have been left out. They have been kept out of Citizenship Amendment Act. In 2016, the then Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, J. Jayalalitha, she had requested for a dual citizenship for these Tamil refugees from Sri Lanka. And last month, in his address to Legislative Assembly, the Governor of Tamil Nadu also has called for dual citizenship for these Tamil refugees. This editorial is against any such idea. Why? Number one, we do not value dual citizenship. In India, there is no concept of dual citizenship. You are a citizen of India at the same time you cannot be the citizen of any other country. So if these Tamil refugees, they are Sri Lankan nationals, they cannot be given Indian citizenship. That's number one. Number two, we have a scheme called Overseas Citizen of India, which is closest that India can get to dual citizenship. But that doesn't mean these individuals are provided dual citizenship. That only means those who are the holders of this card, they can enter India without any visa for life, but they are not provided political rights. That means they cannot contest elections, they cannot vote in the Indian elections, and at the same time, restrictions have been imposed on them for the purchase of agricultural land. Why Tamil refugees have been kept out of CAA? It is the considered wisdom of the government of India that we want to send all these Tamil refugees, which is close to 95,000 in number, we want to send them back to Sri Lanka. So when Constitution of India does not recognize dual citizenship, when Citizenship Amendment Act also does not recognize dual citizenship, so we should not be creating false expectations amongst these Tamil refugees. They cannot get dual citizenship. But at the same time, we do not have a refugee law. So this editorial says that there is an urgent need for a refugee law in India. And at the same time, the government of India should not treat these Tamil refugees as illegal migrants. Why? Because these Tamil refugees, they have entered India with the knowledge of the government of India, with the approval of the government of India as well. So despite the fact that these Tamil refugees, they do not have travel documents, they do not have visa, but they have entered India with the knowledge, with the approval of the government of India. That is why these Tamil refugees should not be treated as illegal migrants by the government of India. And out of these 95,000 people, if some want to go back to Sri Lanka, we should facilitate their travel. But if some people want to stay in India for studies, for work, we should facilitate their stay in India as well. Long-term visa or exclusive long-term visa should be provided to these Tamil refugees. That is what you need to understand from this editorial. Now this column is about Justice Arun Mishra of the Supreme Court and the speech he gave at the International Judicial Conference 2020. The topic was Judiciary and the Changing World. He said that Prime Minister Modi is a versatile genius who thinks globally and acts locally. This column says that this was not an ordinary conference. The union government is the biggest litigant before the Supreme Court. There is something called presumption of constitutionality. What is this presumption of constitutionality? That means whenever Parliament passes a law, Supreme Court assumes that this law is constitutional. It is for the petitioners to prove that this law is unconstitutional. And if the petitioners prove that this law is unconstitutional, Supreme Court will strike this law down. But if a Supreme Court judge is praising the member of the executive, the Prime Minister, it takes this presumption of constitutionality to another level. Now, not only laws passed by the Parliament are presumed to be constitutional, it also would mean that the actions of the executive would also be deemed as constitutional by the judges. That is why Dushyant Dave, the Supreme Court lawyer and the president of Supreme Court Bar Association, is very critical of the statement of Justice Arun Mishra. Let me take you back to 1997. The Supreme Court in 1997 created a charter called Restatement of Values of Judicial Life. According to this charter, every judge must at all times be conscious that he is under the public gaze, which basically means even if a judge admires a political leader personally, but these judges are expected to keep that admiration to themselves and not let it affect their opinions. So when a judge praises a prime minister, it creates unnecessary doubt about the independence of judiciary. The Indian Supreme Court is viewed as one of the most strongest and powerful constitutional courts in the world. It is perhaps the only country in the world where judges are appointing themselves. Why judges in India are appointing judges themselves? It is because they view that judiciary should be independent. so that there is no interference by the executive. So on one hand, you want your institution to be independent, and at the same time you are praising the executive. This is something that cannot be understood. What this column says, if there is a layman and there is a judge, should we treat both of them equally? Because layman is also a product of the society. A judge is also a product of the society. A judge is also a member of the society. But there should be different yardstick for a judge, different yardstick for a layman. So that is why it is unbecoming of a sitting judge of the Supreme Court to publicly praise the member of the executive, the Prime Minister. This column also raises an important point. Supreme Court derives its strength from the Constitution. Powers of the Supreme Court are given to the Supreme Court by the Constitution. Final interpreter of the Constitution is the Supreme Court. But how can we ensure that this Supreme Court is also an institution of credibility? We can only ensure the Supreme Court is a credible institution if people have faith in the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court draws its strength from Constitution, but Supreme Court draws its credibility from the faith people repose in the Supreme Court. And if the judges of the Supreme Court are publicly praising the executive, and the biggest litigant in India is the executive, then it erodes the faith of the public in this institution. And this should have been avoided. That's what Dushyant Dave writes in this newspaper column. There is another column, the issues around data localization. This is something that we have discussed in 19th October, the Hindu newspaper analysis. In 2017, the Supreme Court, by a unanimous verdict, declared that right to privacy is a fundamental right guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. But there is no data protection law in India. That is why there is a personal data protection bill. It has been introduced in the winter session of the Lok Sabha. This bill has been referred to Joint Parliamentary Committee. Let's wait for the report of this committee. Then we will have an elaborate discussion on this bill, including on data localization. There we will link this bill to the report of Shri Krishna Committee. Justice Sri Krishna Committee released its report in 2018. So let's wait for this report. Then we will have an elaborate discussion on this entire issue. These two columns also we will keep on hold. Let's wait for the US President's visit to India to get over. Then we will have an elaborate discussion on what exactly transpired in this Donald Trump's visit to India. Let's look at practice questions, first for prelims and then for mains. Question number 1. Which of the following statements are correct? Barack Obama is the only US president to have visited India twice while in office. Correct. George Bush was the first US president to be the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations. This statement is wrong because Barack Obama was the first US president to be the chief guest at the 26th January Republic Day celebrations. So only one statement is correct. Question number 2. Which of the following reforms were initiated under the rule of Lord William Bentinck? Introduction of English as the official language of British India? Yes. Mahalwari system in Central India and Punjab? Yes. Abolition of Sati? Yes. All these statements are correct. Question number 3. Which of the following statements regarding Humayun's tomb is or are correct? The tomb was built in 1570. Correct. It was the first garden tomb of Indian subcontinent. Correct. Humayun's garden tomb is an example of Charbagh style. Correct. Fourth statement, the tomb was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993. All these statements are correct. Let's look at the mains based question. There are two essay topics today. Number 1, a society will not evolve unless its rules are questioned. Dissent is the safety valve of democracy. Question number 2, education is a human right, and like other human rights, it cannot be taken for granted. That is it from our newspaper analysis for today. Thank you for being with us. Have a great day.